Welcome back to Stellar Eureka, where we uncover the world's most fascinating and overlooked wonders. For thousands of years, vegetables have been at the heart of human survival, nourishing us through every season, culture, and civilization. We've explored countless fruits in past episodes, but have you ever wondered where your favorite vegetables really come from? That buttery cob of corn or humble potato isn't just food, it's history, migration, and mystery wrapped into one. Many of today's most common vegetables were once exotic, rare, or even misunderstood. The potato was once blamed for leprosy. Carrots weren't always orange. And lettuce? It was sacred in ancient Egypt, linked to fertility and offered in temples. Curious about the hidden roots behind the world's most iconic crops? Let's dig in. Ever wonder if carrots were always orange? These root vegetables trace their beginnings to the region we now call Afghanistan and Iran, where early varieties were anything but orange, more often purple, yellow, or white. Ancient farmers initially grew them for their leaves and seeds rather than the root itself. Over centuries, a golden mutation appeared, and selective breeding eventually gave rise to the sweet orange carrots we know today. Some say Dutch growers popularized the orange carrot in tribute to the House of Orange, though that's still debated by historians. By the 16th and 17th centuries, orange carrots had spread across Europe and beyond. Rich in beta-carotene, carrots not only became a kitchen staple, but also a symbol of nutrition and good eyesight, though the idea that they dramatically improved night vision was popularized more by World War II propaganda than science. Carrots are now found in countless global cuisines, grated into Moroccan salads, simmered in Indian curries, or candied in American desserts. Carrots may brighten your plate with color, but our next set of root vegetables have a way of bringing tears to your eyes, and they've been doing it for millennia. Few ingredients are as ancient and essential as the onion. Although wild onions are long extinct, most historians believe they were first domesticated in Central or West Asia around what's now Iran and Pakistan. Archaeological records suggest people were cultivating onions over 7,000 years ago, using them not just for flavor, but for medicine and even spiritual rituals. In ancient Egypt, onions symbolized eternity and were buried with pharaohs to guide them in the afterlife. As civilizations expanded, so did this pungent bulb. The Romans brought onions across their empire, with Pliny the Elder claiming that they could treat anything from coughs to dog bites. Onions were also believed to ward off bad spirits and were sometimes hung in homes for protection. Their layered structure made them symbolic of the cosmos and life cycles across many cultures. Garlic, onion's fiery cousin, followed a similar path. Also native to Central Asia, garlic was beloved in ancient Babylonian kitchens and used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years. It was fed to laborers building the pyramids and later praised by Hippocrates for its healing powers. Today, garlic and onions flavor dishes on nearly every continent, from rustic stews to sizzling stir-fries. These once humble bulbs now anchor the global pantry. But after all that fire and fragrance, our next vegetable takes a cooler, crisper approach to flavor, and its story stretches back to ancient empires. Any guesses? Time to cool things down with cucumbers, the refreshing green fruit often mistaken for a vegetable. Cucumbers were first cultivated over 3,000 years ago in India, where early varieties had a bitter edge to keep pests away. Ancient South Asians domesticated them, and the cucumbers soon made their way west. They found fans in Egypt, where they were enjoyed alongside melons and leeks, as mentioned even in biblical texts. The Greeks and Romans embraced them too. Roman Emperor Tiberius was so fond of cucumbers that his gardeners built mobile greenhouses to ensure a year-round supply. In the Middle Ages, people believed cucumbers could reduce fevers and calm inflammation. By the time Columbus sailed to the Americas, cucumbers were in his cargo. He planted them in Haiti in 1494, helping spread them across the New World. Today, cucumbers are global citizens, starring in salads and snacks across cultures, with China now producing more than half the world's supply. Their cooling crunch brings refreshment to everything from pickles to tzatziki to spa water and summer rolls. But even the crispest cucumber needs a co-star. What comes next is leafy, ancient, and far more varied than you might think. Crisp, cool, and everywhere. From burger joints to gourmet bistros, lettuce is one of the earliest leafy greens ever cultivated. Its story begins in the Middle East, but it was in ancient Egypt that lettuce truly took root. Around 2700 BC, Egyptians weren't just growing it for salads, they revered it. Tall, upright lettuces oozing milky sap were associated with Min, the god of fertility. These early lettuces resembled today's romaine, which is fitting since romaine comes from the Romans. Greeks and Romans used lettuce both as food and medicine, believing it could induce sleep or aid digestion. Emperor Augustus even credited lettuce for his recovery from illness, making it a Roman dietary staple. By the Middle Ages, lettuce varieties had spread across Europe and Asia, evolving into butterhead, crisp head, and loose leaf types. Today, China leads global lettuce production, but it's a truly global green, topping tacos, folded into French cuisine, or stir-fried in Asian kitchens. So next time you see that humble wedge in your bowl, remember, it's descended from a lineage fit for pharaohs. And while lettuce ruled in leafy layers, our next crop stood tall, slender, and sought after, earning its place on royal tables across the ancient world. Enter asparagus, one of the oldest cultivated vegetables in history. First harvested along Mediterranean shores, it appears in ancient Egyptian temple art as an offering to the gods. Over time, these green shoots earned favor with Greek philosophers, Roman emperors, and French kings alike. The Greeks linked it to Aphrodite, while the Romans became so obsessed that they created asparagus fleets to deliver fresh stock for feasts. Emperor Augustus even coined a phrase, "faster than cooking asparagus," highlighting how quickly it should be prepared. Beyond taste, asparagus was praised for medicinal properties. Ancient physicians used it as a diuretic and, like lettuce, an aphrodisiac. After Rome's fall, its cultivation dwindled but didn't vanish. By the 1400s, French monks were growing it again, and by the 1500s, it reappeared in English gardens. Today, asparagus remains a springtime delicacy across much of the world, prized for its tender crunch and grassy bite. From royal spears to botanical engineering, our next stop showcases how one humble weed transformed into a dozen dinner staples. Meet wild cabbage, Brassica oleracea, the ancestor of kale, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and more. This salt-tolerant plant once clung to the rocky coasts of southern Europe. Ancient farmers took this simple green and, through centuries of selective breeding, created entirely new vegetables. Favor big leaves? You get kale. Compact heads? That's cabbage. In Italy, farmers prized the plant's tender flower buds, giving us broccoli and cauliflower. Later, in Belgium, growers focused on lateral buds, producing Brussels sprouts. Other offshoots included kohlrabi for its thick stem and canola for its oil-rich seeds. Romanesco, with its hypnotic fractal spirals, is a psychedelic twist on cauliflower. By the 1600s, these cole crops had spread across Europe and beyond. Jefferson planted broccoli in the U.S. in the early 1800s. Today, Brassica veggies show up everywhere. In Korean kimchi, German sauerkraut, American coleslaw, and even Mediterranean mezza plate. Where wild grasses once swayed in mountain valleys, our next crop rose to dominate fields worldwide. Now, the most grown food on Earth. Across the Atlantic, a towering plant was being transformed by human hands. Maize, or corn. First domesticated 9,000 years ago in southern Mexico, corn began as teosinte, a wild grass with tiny, tough kernels. Through generations of careful breeding, Mesoamerican farmers reshaped it into the plump, golden ears we know today. Corn became a cornerstone of indigenous agriculture, central to the famous Three Sisters system alongside beans and squash. When Europeans arrived, they were stunned by this versatile high-yield crop. Spanish ships soon carried corn seeds across Europe, Africa, and Asia. In Africa, corn thrived where wheat struggled, helping stabilize food supplies. By the 1700s, corn was being milled into polenta in Italy, stirred into porridges in East Africa, and steamed in Chinese kitchens. Today, corn is the world's most produced grain, fueling everything from tortillas and popcorn to livestock feed, sweeteners, and even biofuel. That buttery cob at your summer barbecue? It traces back to ancient Mexican farmers who transformed wild teosinte into a global staple. Corn may be king in modern agriculture, but our next root crop traveled far and wide, earning its place on sacred altars and at festive holiday tables. Sweet, starchy, and surprisingly ancient, the sweet potato's journey spans oceans and civilizations. First domesticated in Central or South America over 5,000 years ago, it became a dietary staple among indigenous peoples. But here's where it gets astonishing. Long before Columbus, sweet potatoes somehow reached Polynesia. Archaeological finds in the Pacific Islands date their presence to 1000 to 1100 AD, and the local name Kumara mirrors the Quechua word kumal, hinting at contact between South America and Polynesian seafarers. This transoceanic voyage predates European exploration and shows the incredible reach of early Pacific navigation. The theory suggests Polynesians may have sailed to the Americas or met South American peoples somewhere in the Pacific, bringing back slips for cultivation. Later, Spanish and Portuguese ships carried sweet potatoes to Africa and Asia in the 1500s. China embraced them during famines, and today it produces more sweet potatoes than any other country. Whether mashed on Thanksgiving tables, fried as camote in the Philippines, or steamed in Maori hangi pits, this tuber has traveled far, adapting to countless cultures and cuisines. Next, we have a fiery plant that spiced up every continent it touched, faster than any explorer could have imagined. Native to Central and South America, chili peppers were first cultivated by indigenous peoples around 6,000 years ago. These wild capsicum plants were so integral to local diets that when Europeans first tasted them, they were shocked. Columbus even misnamed them peppers because their heat reminded him of black peppercorns. After Columbus's voyages, chili peppers spread like wildfire. By the mid-1500s, Portuguese traders had carried chilies to West Africa and India. From there, they exploded across Asia, finding their way into Thai soups, Sichuan stir-fries, and Korean kimchi. In Europe, milder varieties evolved into bell peppers, while spicy ones were dried into paprika in Hungary and used medicinally across cultures. Peppers weren't just flavor. Many cultures believed they could cure colds, ward off evil, or spark the appetite. In India and Southeast Asia, they became daily staples. Today, peppers are grown and loved worldwide, with China and India leading production, and Mexico boasting the richest variety. Bell or chili, raw or roasted, these fruits pack centuries of heat and history into every bite. Who would have thought one jungle-born fruit could turn the world's tables red? And with that, we arrive at the final crop on our list, a humble root that shaped empires, sparked revolutions, and continues to feed billions to this day. Humble, yet history-making, the potato was first domesticated in the highlands of Peru and Bolivia over 7,000 years ago. Indigenous Andean farmers developed thousands of varieties, purple, golden, red, and preserved them as freeze-dried chuño to survive harsh winters. Spanish explorers brought potatoes to Europe in the 1500s, but acceptance came slowly. As a nightshade relative that grew underground, the potato sparked suspicion. Some even believed it could cause leprosy, an odd myth that lingered for centuries. By the 1700s, however, it had become a staple. In Ireland, many rural families lived on potatoes and milk alone. But that reliance turned catastrophic during the Great Famine of the 1840s, when a fungal blight killed crops, led to over 1 million deaths, and forced mass emigration. Despite this, the potato spread across the globe, from Himalayan slopes to Russian plains. Today, it is the 4th most produced food crop on Earth. You'll find it in gnocchi, samosas, pierogies, chips, fries, even vodka. Few vegetables have fed so many or sparked such deep-rooted stories across cultures and continents. From the fertile valleys of Central Asia to the misty Andes Mountains, the story of vegetables is one of trade, transformation, and cultural evolution. Behind every humble root and leafy green lies a legacy shaped by centuries of migration, cultivation, and human ingenuity. Did any of these origins or details catch you off guard? Which one left you thinking, I had no idea? Let us know in the comments. We're always curious to hear what sparked your imagination. And if you'd like to see a follow-up episode with even more surprising stories from the vegetable world, tell us what you'd love to explore next. If this journey into the geography of vegetables stirred your curiosity, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with fellow explorers. There's always another hidden wonder in the natural world waiting to be uncovered. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.